In today's video, I talk about the top 5 principles I've learned from Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. These come from watching videos about him, reading his books, and just looking at the way he's lived his life and learning from those decisions that he's made. If you're new to my channel, my name is Koukun and I'm a real estate investor, and I run a real estate team that helps investors buy and sell rental properties. If you're interested to learn more about what we do, check out some of the links in the comments below. Now, for those of you who haven't heard about Jack Bogle, he's the founder of Vanguard, which is the investment company that made index fund investing the dominant force that it is today. They currently manage about $7.1 trillion in assets, have about 17,000 employees, and they were founded on the core belief that the best way to invest in the stock market is to own the entire stock market while paying the lowest fees possible. The first principle I learned from Jack Bogle is don't try to find the needle in the haystack. Instead, own the entire haystack. What he meant by this is when it comes to investing in the stock market, you don't want to try to pick winners and losers. Instead, you want to own the entire market so that you get the market return. The way you do this is you own a broad-based index fund that owns the entire stock market. And the best part about it is you don't have to worry if you chose the right investment or not. If the overall market does well, you will do well. And especially over the long term, that is pretty much a guarantee. The second principle I learned from Jack Bogle is before cost, trying to beat the market is a zero-sum game. If you buy a winning investment, you're buying it from someone who's selling a winning investment. So you may win, they will lose. When it comes to investment costs, however, after you account for mutual fund fees, stock trading fees, and all the costs that go along with trying to trade in the stock market and trying to beat the stock market, it is a loser's game. More than 90% of the time when it comes to trying to beat the market, you will usually be worse off for it. Most people who try to beat the market end up losing, and most fund managers who try to beat the market also end up losing. It is very rare to see a fund manager outperform the market over long periods of time. The few that have outperformed the market over a long period of time have got to the point that they're so big in terms of the amount of money they manage, the likelihood of them to continue outperforming is also next to zero. Look at Warren Buffett, for example. He's one of the few people that has outperformed the market, and even he says it is incredibly hard for him to find good investments, especially now, because he manages so much money that it's hard to find the next winning opportunity that will actually move the needle. The third thing that Jack Bogle did that really impressed me was he created the first mutual fund. This is a mutual fund that is owned by the investors who put the money into it. This may be a little bit counterintuitive because most mutual funds serve their customers. However, they are owned by a financial company, a bank, or an investment company that is seeking to make profit from offering these mutual funds. So as a result, they end up charging high fees. Those fees take performance out of the equation for the average investor. What Vanguard does differently is that it is owned by the $7.1 trillion of assets that are invested in this company. So the people who contribute that money also own Vanguard, just a tiny sliver for each person. And the way that they get their profit from Vanguard is in the form of lower fees. Basically, Vanguard offers its services at its cost so that the investor then gets the full benefit of the market return with the lowest possible cost. And like in principle number 2, the stock market investor gets what they don't pay for. The fourth principle I learned from Jack Bogle is learn to say enough. One of the facts that Jack Bogle was very proud of was the fact that he was not a billionaire like many of the other founders of large investment companies. He did very well for himself simply by saving his income that he was getting paid from Vanguard, putting that into the same index funds that he recommends others to do, and investing over the long term. At his passing in 2019, he was estimated to be worth somewhere in the order of $80 million simply from his own saving and investing. And as the CEO of Vanguard, at a certain point, he decided to even donate half of the income he was making each year as he made it because he just felt that it was too much money and that he didn't need that, and he was willing to give it away and live off of the rest. Instead of pursuing personal wealth, his focus was creating an impact on the people he was trying to help. And that impact is now measured probably in the hundreds of billions of dollars that investors have saved in fees simply because Vanguard charges very low fees. And because of Vanguard, so many other for-profit investment companies have been forced to reduce their fees to compete with Vanguard. So the average investor as a whole, it now has a lot of selection of different investments that they can choose at very low cost. So it is an amazing win for the consumer. And Jack Bogle, to his credit, was the person who created that impact. The fifth principle that I learned from Jack Bogle is that companies ask for loyalty from their employees, but very few companies show their loyalty to their employees. This is a quote that is not too well known, but it's one that I heard while reading his book, Enough, The True Measures of Money, Business, and Life. And as the owner of a company, my real estate team, this is one that I've taken to heart. I've really started to look at, okay, how can I create a positive impact on my team, the people who work with me, right? How can I help them both in their careers, in their own development? How can I create an environment where they feel, cared for, and that they feel supported, and creating a culture that makes everyone want to support each other within our team, and also even in their personal life, just to make sure to make that a priority, right? Maybe it's taking time away from work to spend with their family. That's completely encouraged within the culture of our team, because we know that when someone is feeling fulfilled in their personal life, they have a lot more energy when it comes to their work. And we also know that if someone's feeling burnt out from their work, it is definitely going to spill over into their personal life, and that's not the life that I want to live, and I don't want that for them as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Jack Bogle is definitely someone that I deeply admire. He's someone who created a tremendous impact in the financial world, but he did so in a way that was truly there for the people he was trying to serve. And it's something that even in my own life, I truly look for. How can I incorporate those principles and that ideal within the work that I do? Because it's so powerful to see what he was able to accomplish through his company, Vanguard. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to watch more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. All the best.